Daniel Kariuki, KTN.
After vowing to camp at Jogoo House every week and even take to the streets over the disruption of the meetings, opposition leaders have abruptly changed course. Instead of sustained protests targeting Inspector General Douglas Kanja, they now claim investigations were completed, allege interference at the highest levels of the ministry of the Interior Ministry under CS Kipchumba Murkomen, and say they will pursue private prosecution against 12 police officers and 2 members of parliament. The sudden shift from street pressure to courtroom battle is raising a critical political question. Is this a strategic recalibration or a sign of a weakened opposition? Our political affairs reporter Grace Nganga has more.
A fresh confrontation between Kenya's opposition and the security establishment is raising a broader political question. Do we have a weak opposition or one recalibrating its strategy?
We do not have a very forceful figure that is an opposition extremist. So when I say opposition extremist, is somebody who is able to take a side, mobilize around it, organize and pursue it.
This standoff stems from the disruption of a church gathering at Witima ACK in Othaya, an incident opposition leaders described as a coordinated police attack. In the days that followed, they escalated their rhetoric, vowing to take to the streets and demanding accountability from Inspector General Douglas Kanja.
Tutakuwa na lingine la kufanya ni kuitisha maandamano katika Jamhuri ya Kenya.
The move was framed as sustained pressure to force action against officers allegedly involved in the incident, but days later, that plan was abandoned. In a joint statement, the opposition cancelled a scheduled return to Jogoo House, claiming investigations into the church disruption had already been concluded. They alleged that 12 police officers had been identified as having executed the operation and that 2 members of parliament from Murang'a and Nyeri counties financed it. They further claimed that the investigative file, said to be ready for transmission to the Director of Public Prosecution, was intercepted by Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen with instructions that no prosecution should proceed.
And as we speak, it is important to say that, in fact, the IG is toothless and is under what we call arm twist by his boss, who is none other but the Minister for Interior.
Instead of weekly protests at Jogoo House or broader street demonstrations, they now say they will initiate private prosecution against the officers and the MPs they have accused.
And that whole process has been hijacked. The CS has indicated that nobody should be implicated and nobody should be charged. And if this is the case, then there is no need of timing to what we call AG's office.
The shift has sparked debates. Critics argue that stepping back from promised weekly pressure and mass action signals retreat, raising questions about consistency and momentum.
Therefore disturbing that we are having an opposition that is difficult to also predict whether they will be able to do what they say or to say what they do.
Supporters, however, see the move as strategic, a pivot from confrontation to litigation.
But even people who have capacity and competence to call for political demonstrations, they always give a dialogue a chance. And they only engage in demonstrations when dialogue has failed to deliver.
Nothing much the opposition will be able to gain from forcing themselves to IG every other day. And instead, it's better to look for those legal angles.
If investigations were indeed concluded and blocked, they argue the courtroom may now be the chosen battleground. Whether this signals weaknesses or recalibration may ultimately depend on what happens next. If the promised private prosecution is swiftly filled and backed by evidence, the opposition will frame itself as pursuing accountability through the law. If not, questions about resolve and follow-through are likely to intensify. Grace Nganga, KTN.